In lesson 1-4, we're going to be working on the order of operations. So the main idea is to evaluate expressions using the order of operations. A mnemonic device we use to remember what order we have to complete the different operations is this PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S. Okay, and with PEMDAS, the P stands for parentheses. The E stands for exponents. The M stands for multiplication. The D stands for division. The A stands for addition. And the S stands for subtraction. Okay, again, remember in your notes, whatever you see me writing, you should be writing in your notes as well. Okay, now parentheses, that's really any grouping symbol. So often you will see parentheses. You could also see brackets. And also you might see absolute value symbols. We'll get into those a little bit later in the next couple chapters, but absolute value symbols are also considered to be grouping symbols, and all grouping symbols we say with this P is parentheses. So we have to evaluate all grouping symbols first. The E is for exponents, and we've been working with exponents before, so if you see any powers or exponents, we need to do those after any parentheses. And then the next two here are kind of together in one step. Okay, so we're going to group these together. Parentheses is first, exponents is second, and then third is really multiplication and division. They happen at the same time, but whatever order they come, we need to do them from left to right. So for example, we could actually do division first if it comes first. So like 12 divided by 6 and then times 2. We're going to do this whole thing from left to right. Okay, and so we're going to do 12 divided by 6 first, that would be 2, and then 2 times 2 equals 4. Okay, so you have to do it that way first. If you would have done 6 times 2, that's 12, and then 12 divided by 12 is 1. So we have to do it from left to right, otherwise you're going to get different answers. So for these two here, let's just go ahead and put an arrow helping us remember from left to right. And then for the next pair, again, we need to remember that these two happen at the same time as well. And we'll do those in step 4. And they're also from left to right. So we need to do these like you read a book, always from left to right. So you got to take care of parentheses first for any grouping symbols. Whatever is inside, you got to do that first. Then you'll take care of any exponents. And then multiplication division, you're going to do at the same time, but from left to right. And addition and subtraction is also at the same time, but we're going to do from left to right. Okay, let's check out an example here. Okay, again, this kind of just goes over those rules. The parentheses happens first, exponents is second. Then we're going to do multiplication division for number 3, and addition and subtraction for number 4. If you wanted to, again, right above these, go ahead and put that arrow from left to right. Okay, not necessarily multiplication first, but both of these, we'd go from left to right, just like it says up here in our notes. All right, so let's try some of these. First thing you do is copy the problem. So we're going to copy that down. 27 minus the quantity 18 plus 2. Okay, now thinking back to our PEMDAS. Okay, we'll just go ahead and write it over here. We have to do any parentheses or grouping symbols first. So I'm going to go ahead and underline that. So that way I remember I have to do that part first. So let's copy this down. We go 27 minus. Now notice how I'm trying to keep everything lined up. The 27 comes straight down right where this 27 is. The minus comes straight down. Okay, and now 18 plus 2 is 20. Okay, and you can go ahead and just write it here. If you want, you can keep it in the parentheses, but since we're doing what's inside the parentheses, we can go ahead and get rid of those grouping symbols. So 27 minus 20, now we're going to do this part. And that equals 7, and that would be your final answer. Okay, now think about this like if we were doing homework in our book or in our on our paper. Okay, if we were going to do this on lines, this would be one line, this would be a second line, and this would be a third line. So you know how I always say do not pre-number your assignment. This problem right here should actually take 3 lines on a piece of paper. Okay, so the first one, you just write down the problem. Then you take care of your parentheses, go to the next step, and then we can solve it. Now, some problems are going to take more than 3 lines. So you just don't know how long it's going to take. That's why I tell you not to pre-number your assignment. Okay, let's go ahead and do the first step here. As always, we copy it down. So we go 15 plus 5 times 3 minus 2. Okay, if we think of PEMDAS, all right, we don't have any parentheses, so we can go ahead and skip that step. We don't have any exponents, we can skip that step. Next is we need to look at any multiplication division. Remember, those happen together. Okay, or is there any multiplication division? Okay, I do have multiplication right here. So I'm going to copy this down, straight down. I go 15 plus, now 5 times 3 is 15. And then we're going to copy this straight down. We go minus 2. All right, now we got rid of that. Do we have any other multiplication division? No, so these are both gone. And now I have addition and subtraction. Remember, I always go from left to right. So I have to do the left to right first. So I have to do this part first. So I'm going to get 30 minus 2. Okay, and then last but not least, I get to answer the question. And so I get an answer of 28. Okay, and that's the correct way to do it. Again, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 lines that this answer would take up. Again, remember, for homework, I would expect you to write the original problem. Okay, and then we need to follow order of operations and do this step next. Again, notice how I'm underlining the part that I'm doing, just like in the last problem, I underlined the part that I was going to do first. All right, next step, let's go ahead and copy it down. Okay, we go 12 times 3 minus 22. Over here I'm going to write PEMDAS just to help us remember the order. Okay, so again, first parentheses, I don't have any parentheses, I'm going to cross that off. Exponents, I don't have any of those. Okay, so now I'm looking for multiplication and division. Do I have it? Okay, I have multiplication here and subtraction here. So I'm going to do the 12 times 3 first. You know, if you need to use a calculator, go ahead. Otherwise, 12 times 3, hopefully we know is 36. And then we bring the subtraction down in 22. Notice how I'm keeping everything else lined up. That's going to help us as we progress throughout this school year. Okay, and then now we're going to solve the problem. We're going to do 36 minus 22. If it's difficult for you to do this in your head, since it's written from left to right, you can write it below it. We can write 22 right there. And then subtract 6 minus 2 is 4, and 3 minus 2 is 1. And so our answer is 14. That's perfectly okay if you want to write it on top and bottom like this. Again, this would take 1, 2, possibly 3, 4 lines. If you knew that 36 minus 22 is 14, you could skip that, but you know, it's always nice to show your work and check your work. All right, this one's kind of a complex one here, so let's again copy it down very carefully. We go 2 times, and we have parentheses, 7 times 2. We're going to divide it by 3 minus 1 squared. Okay, over here I'm going to write the PEMDAS down. All right, so let's start going through this. Now, we have to start with parentheses. So I have this in parentheses and I have this in parentheses. Since they're both separate parentheses, let's go ahead and do both at the same time. Okay, so let's do 2 times. All right, 7 times 2 is 14, so I'm going to write 14 in there. And then we're dividing by, okay, and then this is 3 minus 1, so we're going to do 2, and that squared symbol is still right there. Now notice how I kept those numbers inside the parentheses just for now, because we're still doing multiplication, so I went ahead and just put that parentheses there. Whenever you have a number right next to a parenthesis symbol, we are going to multiply. So that actually is the same thing as the multiplication symbol. All right, next step. let's take a look. So we finished our parentheses. Now, do we have any exponents? We do right here. So this is going to be our next step. We're going to leave this part alone. So we're going to do 2 times. Now, if you want to switch it to that, that's fine. 2 times 14 divided by now 2 squared. That would be 2 times 2. 2 squared equals 2 times 2, which is 4. So we're going to write that. Okay, now we took care of our exponents. Now, any multiplication or division? Well, I have multiplication and I have division, but I need to go from left to right. So I'm going to do the multiplication first. So 2 times 14, okay, double that would be 28, and then we're going to divide by 4. All right, so I did my multiplication, but I still have some division left. Again, I'm just going left to right. All right, so finally 28 divided by 4, well, that gives us 7. That's a basic fact of 7. I'll clean this up a little bit. Always make sure you have good handwriting so you can read your answers. So we have 7, okay, and then we'll make sure the circle is clean. Now again, let's check how many lines this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines in our homework. So if you pre-numbered your assignment, it's going to be kind of tough, and you're going to try to cram all this in here. It's very important to not try to cram all your work in there. I want to be able to see it, and I want to be able to know what you're doing clearly. Okay, so make sure you use a separate line for each step. All right, a real world example here, some word problems. Money. Julian is buying 2 boxes of favors, 3 boxes of balloons, and 3 rolls of crepe paper. So what's the total cost here? Okay, so let's keep track here. We're buying 2 boxes of favors, so here it just says 1 box. So I'm going to put a 2 there. Okay, and then we're doing 3 boxes of balloons, so I'm going to put a 3 here, and this is just per 1 box. And then here it says 3 rolls of crepe paper, so I'm going to put a 3 here, but notice this is the same there. So we want 3 rolls, so this is actually going to be the cost of the 3 rolls. All right, so let's check it out. Let's go ahead and write this as a numerical expression, okay? So if I want 3 rolls of crepe paper, that's just going to be a cost of $2, okay? We're not going to do 3 times $2 because 3 rolls actually cost $2. So let's put a 2 here. And we're going to add that cost because we want the total. Now, if we want 2 favors or 2 boxes of favors, 1 box is $7. So we're going to do 2 times $7 because we don't want just 1 box, we want 2 boxes. All right, now since we're trying to find a total, we're going to make that addition. Now we want 3 boxes of balloons. Okay, 1 box is $5, so we're going to do 3 times 5 boxes. Now you might be again thinking, well, how come we didn't do 3 times 2 for this first one? But remember, we wanted 3 rolls of crepe paper, and it tells us 3 rolls cost $2. So we're just going to go ahead and leave it as $2. All right, now if we follow PEMDAS, all right, we don't have any parentheses, so we'll get rid of that. We don't have any exponents. We do have multiplication and division, so we need to do this and this. And since it's separated by addition, you could go ahead and do this all at once. So let's go ahead and do that. We go 2 plus 14 plus 15, okay, because 2 times 7 is 14, 3 times 5 is 15. Notice I try to keep my addition symbols lined up. All right, it's going to get a little bit spacey in here because we're taking 2 numbers down to just 1 number. All right, now we're finished with multiplication and division because there wasn't any division, and we're down to addition and subtraction. So we have to go from left to right. So this is first. We're going to do 16 plus 15, and then we're going to get 31. And don't forget your units, it's $31. It says what is the total cost. So $31 total for 3 boxes of balloons, 2 boxes of favors, and 3 rolls of crepe paper. Okay? All right, so that was our last example for today's 1-4 lesson. To find out what your homework is for today's assignment, be sure to check the Moodle page for any more homework or for extra help with the homework.